Good afternoon, classmates. The article that I was going to report is all about the self-regulated learning, a new concept embraced by researchers, policymakers, educators, teachers, and students by Boekaerts. Most educational psychologists acknowledge that prior knowledge is a powerful and essential ingredient in self-regulated learning. Yet there is some confusion about what constitutes prior knowledge and about the type of prior knowledge that is necessary for self-regulated learning to occur. So here is the 6-component model of self-regulated learning illustrated. The different types of prior knowledge that students need in order to be able to learn independently. Researchers tended to cast prior knowledge in terms of conceptual, procedural, and episodic knowledge. They study the cognitive strategies for acquisition and use of that knowledge. So in component 1 contains the conceptual and procedural knowledge. Conceptual consists of the learner's knowledge of ideas, facts, and definitions, as well as procedural knowledge such as formulas and rules, according to Dochi in 1996. General cognitive strategies necessary for information processing, such as selective attention, decoding, rehearsal, elaboration, which is located here in component 2 of the model. According to Aines 1990, there is accumulating evidence that some learners are able to apply general cognitive strategies to well-structured as well as to ill-structured domains. Most students need some practice to make their general cognitive strategies instrumental to new domains. Students who have not yet learned to regulate their learning in relation to a domain need external regulation to process and integrate new information. So in component 3 is the cognitive regulatory strategies, where mental representation of learning goals, design of action plan, monitoring progress, and evaluating goal achievement is located. So in the motivational self-regulation in metacognitive knowledge and motivational beliefs, the beliefs, attitudes, and values related to tasks within the domain, strategy beliefs, capacity beliefs, and goal orientation. In motivation strategies, in component 5, create a learning intention, coping processes to alter stressors and to reduce negative emotion, prospective and retrospective attributions, effort avoidance, and using social resources. And the last component in the model of self-regulated learning is the motivational regulatory strategies, where mental representation of behavioral intention, linking behavioral intention to action plan, maintaining action plan in the face of obstacles and competing action tendencies, and disengaging action plan and behavioral intention is located. So here is that's all for the component model of self-regulated learning and self-regulation.
Cognitive self-regulation can be taught. According to Snow and Lohman 1984, there is a large body of research that demonstrates that when learners are not yet able to regulate their own learning, teachers can become preset for suboptimal self-regulatory skills by providing adequate instructional support. So, according to Snow and Lohman, the cognitive self-regulation can be taught. It is that demonstrates that when learners are not yet able, the teachers can become preset for a suboptimal self-regulatory skills by providing the adequate instructional support. And then the Bogiano, Main, Flink, Barrett, Silvern, and Katz 1989, the cognitive self-regulation can be taught. It is difficult to define the term instructional support, since what is the supportive for one group of students may be perceived as low as autonomy of pressure by another group. So according to Bugiano and the other people, the cognitive self-regulation, it is difficult to define the instructional support, and then the supportive for one group of the students may be perceived. So the Snow and the Bugiano, there are two, the cognitive self-regulation can be taught. And then the external regulation versus scaffolding, under conditions of the direct teaching, teachers traditionally transmit new domain-specific knowledge and skill to their students. This one-way interaction process may or may not contain information on efficient strategy used and may not be followed by guidance. And then according to Darkey 1979, the external regulation versus scaffolding, 18 years ago, revealed that most reading teachers ask their students a lot of the questions, yet do not teach them implicitly how they should go about the answering this question. So, according to Darkin, the external regulation, the reading teachers and the students, it is the revealed, the questions do not teach them implicit how they should go about the answering these questions. According to Arnott C., the same holds of the another domains of study. It is the fact trained the teachers who are trained in the education system in which the culture of the correct answers is dominant belief that students acquire the cognitive strategies needed for reading comprehension direct through the reading experience. And according to Brand Growell 1975, the external regulation versus scaffolding in the 1980s under the influence of the theories on guided learning and the metacognition researchers began to promote teachers to implicitly teach the cognitive strategies that we want their students to use. So according to Brand Growell, the teachers to implicitly teach the cognitive strategies that they want their students to use. And according to Bransford and the other people to 1983, there is a vast body of the research that attests that learning strategies, learning is one domain or under specific learning conditions are not generalized to slightly different situations. So there have many differences of the external regulation versus scaffolding to the other people, and the several authors, the same of the external scaffolding, it is Blood, Dewey, Murphy, and the 1986 Bosniado demonstrated that students do not apply newly acquired conceptual knowledge or cognitive strategies. So, kanina mga authors, ang mga students daw, dili i-apply ang mga bago, newly acquired conceptual knowledge or cognitive strategies spontaneously even after they have successfully passed on the exam in which that knowledge was tested. And then, the winner, the Spreader and Hallmark, one that under conditions of the maximal external regulation, there is a little room for self-regulatory skills to develop and demonstrate their beneficial effects. And then, the basic elements of the cognitive apprenticeship were incorporated in the perspective programs. Dewey and McBride, 1986, Knott and Singer, 1985, only one cognitive strategy was taught, namely questions the generation. And then according to Schoenfeld, 1985, domain of mathematics taught students a set of strategies that he taught successful mathematical problem solvers use. The strategy daw is can be mas successful ang mga mathematical problem solver use. And then, according to Larkin and Ref 1976, did the same for physics. Scar, Jamaria, and the Writer, 1986, and the Engelbert and the Raphael, 1989, for writing, and the Palingsar and the Brown, 1984, and the Paris L for reading comprehension. And then, the reciprocal teaching dialogue, the Brown and Palingsar, 1989, formulated a set of conditions that foster cognitive self-regulation for reading, narrative, expositionary test. This set of the condition is generally referred to with the term reciprocal teaching dialogue, and the other, the original design, taught students for cognitive strategies, clarification, the questions, the generation, summarization, and prediction through modeling combined with the Socratic teaching method. And then, according to Rothschild and the Meister, 1994, the reciprocal teaching dialogue, it is a review, the literature on the reciprocal teaching. So, we have the difference also. And then, the set goals versus self-defined goals. At school, students are given tasks and assignments and they have to follow the mandatory courses. So, ang mga estudyante, hatagan gajud og mga tasks og mga assignments, and they have to follow the ila gajud na sundon, and then this implies that they are expected to mentally represent and accomplish these goals. Most learners will strive to accomplish teacher set goals relying heavily on input standards and rules provided by the teachers. It needs to be noted, however, that these teachers set goals may not congruent with self-refined or self-generated goals. One of the reasons why teachers and students' goals are not congruent, and maybe the teachers have a different time horizon than students. Yes, of course, the set of goals and the self-refined goals, the teachers and the students, they are not the same, congruent. Maybe the teachers and the students have a different time horizons more than the students. So this is the set goals versus self-defined goals.
Start. Okay. My topic is about effort allocating resources. Most educational psychologists still portray students as being motivated to learn, willing to put an effort, and capable of monitoring their own effort. Unfortunately, this is not realistic. Effort is at the heart of self-regulated learning, but researchers do not agree on its conceptualization. So, ang mga researchers, sila ning agree diyan na research. Then, those working within the cognitive framework often claim that effort can be measured by merely observing students, can be measured by and quantifying their responses. They use parameters such as sample, according to Eisenberg 1982. The number of responses made, the time taken to respond or to study the length or precision of a response. Then, over the past decade, several researchers have argued that these quantitative indices of effort may differ greatly from more subjective indices. So, example, Alexander, 1995, made a distinction between mindful and mindless effort, and Wiener et al. 1989 distinguished between qualitative and quantitative effort. So, in the developmental literature, an attempt was made to describe changes over time in student theories of mind, self-concept of ability and effort. Then, Example, Carter 1990. Describe the different subsets of the self in the major periods of life, whereas Paris 1988 and Nichols 1990 demonstrated that children's theory of effort developed slowly over the middle childhood years. So, the differentiation between effort and ability is speeded up by social comparison and by the ability to reflect on one's own actions. In this aspect, Demetrio et al. 1996 were able to show that there is a dramatic shift in students' awareness of the content characteristic of a task to the thought process involved in the task around the age of 12. So, in early adolescence, effort and ability are fully differentiated constructs. So, we found, for example, Oten and Boekaerts 1990 that 12 years old self-reference or combinations in relation to history were largely positive. So students know what it took to do well on history exam, but they express unfavorable belief about literature and text processing, clarifying that they did not know what it took to satisfy the teachers. So I believe that it is not sufficient to predict students' effort expenditure, either on the basis of information about their overall goal structure, the short-term and the long-term goals, or with their subject matter-related beliefs, interests, and capacity-related beliefs in mind. So, learning situations, even those that pertain to the subject matter area, may differ in the extent to which they trigger personality variables at general and domain-specific level. So this subjective information will affect class cognition and aspect. That's all.